Hey, welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. Your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I am not Bo Brack. Bo Brack is hustling into the program here, fresh off listening to one Marvin Harrison Jr. We thought that would be worth it, of course. So Bo will make his way onto the program in just a couple of minutes. What's up, everybody in the chat? Ozzy, Ken, Weber, Brian, Emily, Steven. What's the good word, everybody? Welcome in on a football Thursday. We were off yesterday. Happy to be back now. And live comments from Marvin Harrison Jr. at Cards Camp just a little bit ago. Hopefully, Bo or a fellow member of the Arizona media asked about Jersey Gate. We're going to get to that. But first, I do want to touch on something that's interesting that came across the Twitter streets only moments ago. Okay, this is going to be a very cards-heavy podcast, but I want to bring this up for discussion. And I don't have the tweet on the screen, but this is from Brady Henderson, who covers the Seattle Seahawks for ESPN. Geno Smith, quarterback for the Seahawks, is set to undergo testing after missing not one, but the last 2 Seahawk practices. According to Brady, he's been dealing with hip and knee issues. New head coach, remember, it's not Pete Carroll, it's Mike McDonald. He's working through a couple things from the other day. We'll get some imaging and we'll see. So again, for those who are betting on the Seahawks just to pick up where they left off, no Pete Carroll, everything's going to be fine. Their starting quarterback, who, by the way, is an old 35. He played a lot of games at West Virginia. He's been in the NFL for a long time. Yes, Sam Howell's on that roster. Geno Smith's body is breaking down. And now you've got Mike McDonald, who has never been a head coach at any level, taking over Seattle. Like, again, it's disrespectful that the Cardinals are not above the Seahawks right now. Now, that might change if Geno was injured. There's a bunch of injuries we're going to cover today on the show around the NFL, but I'm going to tell you right now, the Seattle Seahawks, life is going to come at you quickly. When you're getting imaging during training camp as a quarterback and your back and lower body are messed up, are impacted, not a good sign. Here's a great sign for this program. It's Bo Brack live from Studio K in Phoenix, fresh off talking to MHJ today. Welcome, friend, to the program.
Oh, man, what a lovely segment to just jump into. You are burying Geno Smith, just throwing dirt on his dead carcass, just saying, get out of here. Your time is done.
Oh, the Seahawks, they'll make the playoffs this year. Oh, take the over on the Seattle Seahawks. Nice QB, 35. His body is breaking down.
They wrote me off, but I didn't write back. It's like, well, they're going to write you off again. At least Johnny Venerable is here on PHNX Cardinals. What's going on to the chat? Hope you had a good day off. Cardinals were back on the practice field today. It was, I'll just start with this. It was a Marv day today. It was a Marvin Harrison Jr. day today. You'll see that. It's reflected in the highlights. It's reflected in the post-practice press conference. It was all MHJ all the time. And look, I think we're better people for it. I think it just, it makes us a better civilization. I think if Marvin Harrison Jr., was the vocal point of each and every practice and spoke at the post-practice podium, we'd probably come together as people. Things would be less divisive. We'd kind of live kumbaya. I think it'd be just a better world that we lived in. So it was a good day out there. Low tempo today. As you mentioned, a couple of players missing in action, got some updates and all that. So, and we'll get to it later in the show.
Okay. So let's start things off. Cause I didn't see this come across PHNX Cardinals Twitter. You and I have not talked about it. Did Marvin Harrison Jr. talk about the availability of his jersey?
He did not. That was not part of the conversation. I would imagine that's why Kyle just added me on Twitter and called me a coward, because there was no questions levied toward Marv as far as his jersey goes. It was all good vibe questions, and I don't think anybody wanted to broach the potential maybe rift with MHJ and Fanatics.
Gotcha. Well, sometimes, Cardinals, other franchises, they can put a caveat like, hey, guys, we're not going to be talking about this today. So the Cardinals didn't do that, but just tried to make it, as professional as it can. And again, like, Marv wants his jersey to be available. Cardinal fans want his jersey to be available. It is not yet resolved. So even had anybody asked the question, Bo, and this is where I'll defend my co-host and the rest of the Arizona media, you probably wouldn't have gotten the answer that you were hoping for. You're probably just like, we're just kind of in a holding pattern right now. Until you hear news on a jersey, there is no news, Bo.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would have gone. And look, shame on me for not asking the question, at least getting the stock answer of, that's something that my team and I are working on, like we received in his introductory press conference. But look, the question at some point needs to be asked. Our first chance to talk to him since mandatory mini camp. I think people had, more pressing questions to ask as far as him and the report, his quarterback, his time spent in Los Angeles before training camp with the rest of the playmakers and Kyler Murray, and just how he's transitioning from the collegiate level to the NFL level. So I think that's really where most of the questions were. And Marv was pretty complimentary as far as his willingness to answer that, and also, his availability in the preseason.
Absolutely. And again, let's talk about his availability in the preseason as it relates to playing and how much he's planning on playing. I think we all expect him to participate in the red and white scrimmage on Saturday. Now that I do not believe, based off of years prior, they are going to tackle to the ground. I might be wrong, but that's about 80 to 90% live. Whereas the Saints coming into town a week from Saturday are basically going to, it's a live game, right?
Yeah.
And so Jonathan Gannon made a point today to say, Bo, that, Marv needs to play in the preseason, but they're working through what that looks like. And I'm going to double down on what I said a couple weeks ago. Marv can't play in the preseason without Kyler Murray. I'm sorry. And I'm encouraged by what I see from Desmond Ridder. Clayton Tune's been a little bit too erratic for my taste. If Kyler Murray's not going to play in the preseason, Marv shouldn't play in the preseason. That's my take. So if Jonathan Gannon is saying Marv needs to play, guess what? You're going to see Kyler Murray play in the preseason. That is my opinion. I don't have that source. That's not factual yet, but one does not go without the other. You cannot trot out your number one receiver with a backup quarterback. That's irresponsible. The Cardinals are smarter than that now. Maybe not in the past, but with Austin Ford and Gannon, they are too smart to say, you know what, we're going to have him go out there with Desmond Ridder or Clayton Tune respectfully. Yeah. Even if it's just one series and you want to have Kyler Murray run the ball with James Conner or Trey Benson 10 times, and you let Marv get his sea legs and he's run by whatever. But you cannot go, if you're going to roll with MHJ in the preseason, number one's got to be out there with him. That's my point.
And producer Jacob pinch hitting today for us for Damon Dog. Damon Dog is on his birthday tour that started a day early. My birthday brother, he's celebrating the big 2-5 and needed the day off. I personally grind even through holidays and
he's allergic to it.
I don't know if he's allergic to the grind, but let's hear from Marvin Harrison Jr. as far as him playing in the preseason. Do we have that? I was looking at it.
I threw the labels that I have in our slot. With I've got Marv in LA, Marv on playing with Kyler, Marv on Friday nights, and Marv on Kyler relationship.
Man, let's see. I would say hold on. Johnny, give me a thought. I'm gonna figure out which one is Marvin's answer as far as the preseason goes.
Here's the thought right here. Illadre 199 super chat. This is the best podcast, hands down. Hit that like. I love that thought. I think that thought each and every day, Illadre, and it's because of diehards and PHNX brethren such as yourself. So we appreciate that.
Jacob didn't have it. He had it correctly labeled. He doesn't have the preseason clip, but basically Marvin said he wants to play in the preseason. It still remains behind the scenes, an ongoing conversation, what that's going to look like. So 18's going to be in the lineup. When I look at their preseason schedule, and this is just you and I really just recklessly making predictions there and speculating, but the Cardinals have one home preseason game. It's the first it's preseason week. Well, technically two because it starts tonight. But their first preseason game against the Saints next Saturday. So I got to imagine, like we saw Colt McCoy and the ones go out last year to open up the preseason. I would imagine we're going to see Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. and the Cardinals ones, the bulk of the ones against the Saints to open things up.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're going to get probably a series or two against the Saints, and then I think against Indianapolis, they're going to play at least a quarter of the game. I think you're going to get, and they should, because again, like you're playing the Buffalo Bills week 1, where the offense has to be on point. You're on the road. You're in a hostile environment. And like Jonathan Gannon showed us last year that nobody plays in the finale. Nobody's playing. Like I would venture to say, like, even guys who play the majority of that game, they may not even have a roster spot. We saw that last year. With the intensity that we see routinely on display at Cards Camp, and the preaching and the coaching around competitiveness and aggressiveness, and just you can tell Gannon enjoys this time of year. They're not going to be scared to play guys. Like I'm going to knock on the biggest piece of wood I have here. We're going to talk about injuries later in the show, but like injuries are a part of football. You just got to cross your fingers it doesn't happen. But here's what you can't do. Put everybody in bubble wrap for the next 6 weeks and think you're going to be ready to take on Josh Allen, Sean McDermott in Buffalo.
Yeah.
You have to kick the tires a little bit. And again, like one possession, if that's all you do against the Saints, awesome. Let the home crowd see K1 and Marvin. The Colts game, they're going to need to play a couple possessions together.
This is from Jonathan Gannon himself. The only way you get better at football is playing football. And they understand that. So, you know, I just think that they are trying to be strategic in everything they do. I mean, if you look at their practice schedule, it's trying to mimic, you know, what the yearly, the season process is going to be. And it's 3 on and like 1 off for the most part, as far as what they're going to, you know, put their bodies through. And I'm sure that that's the same goes as far as how they are trying to forecast and roll out how much they're going to play, who they expect to play big time snap for them in the preseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like just because Marv and Kyler are going to play in the preseason doesn't mean there's not going to be time for Clayton Tune and Desmond Ridder to duke it out. And guys like Zach Pascal might be fighting for a roster spot, and DeMercado needs to be showcased. Like you can still accomplish what you need to, but again, like what we see in practice, and you see it every day, Bo, is it's practice. It's not a game environment.
Oh, you're gonna go Allen Iverson? You're gonna go AI on us?
No, but
practice.
It's the mental piece.
Yeah,
it's not the physical piece. And I'm sorry, like I've watched Cardinal teams of years prior, not last year's team that should have beaten Washington in the opener, not be prepared to play week 1.
Right.
And again, if you want to say nobody should ever play in the preseason, I hope that the franchise that you support and you watch is rock solid week 1. The Cardinals don't have that foundation to sit on yet. Kyler and Marv haven't been playing together for a half a decade.
Right.
You've got so many. Michael Wilson only played with Kyler for 6 to 8 games last year. Greg Dortch is in a full-time role now. Trey McBride year 2. Like, you want to sit here and tell me James Conner doesn't need to play in the preseason? I'll buy that. Just sit James Conner, right?
Who played last season.
Right. Trey Benson. Yeah. You've got options there. But for even as great as Marvin Harrison Jr. is, as the 4th overall pick, if he wants to play, and the Cardinals believe he should play, Kyler Murray has to be the one throwing him the football.
Yeah.
Like I will not, if they do anything to the contrary, I will come on the show and rip them. But I have confidence they would not do that.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of equity that you have to earn, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that you've seen franchises that have been to the top of the mountain that have done way more, players that have achieved a lot more, not an indictment, but have done a lot in this league, that go out there, that continue to go out there, even in the 3-game format, with proven so much. We see Patrick Mahomes go out there and get a couple series with his team in preseason. And there's value to that. Bill Belichick sees value to that. Andy Reid sees value to that. And I would seriously doubt that Jonathan Gannon doesn't see any value in playing his teams in preseason. Like I'm sure he sees a ton of it, even though his main focus is trying to sift through this roster and determine who's going to win a spot. Like, because I think there's a lot of spots beyond the starting players and the players that they have high expectations to play heavy snaps for this team, like high-end quality backups. Like they need to figure out who's coming with them, who's going to earn a spot on the 53, who's going to continue to play with the organization in a practice squad role.
Yeah, and you can figure out, like, Tip Ryman can play with the 2s and the 3s. Isaiah Adams can do that. Max Melton can be out there with the number 2s, right? And you can make it make sense, and they can earn their keep, right? And they can get elevated. But like this time last year, Michael Wilson was out there with the default number 1 quarterback, and Colt McCoy, like, he wasn't out there with the 2s. Like, Marvin Harrison Jr. is your number 1 receiver that just so happens to be a rookie. Like, you have to kind of walk this fine line a little bit. But again, I trust the people involved. They have the plan in place. I love what I see from Kyler and Marv thus far this training camp. Like, again, we're going to talk about the people that didn't participate in practice today. It's not Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, that guy, knock on wood, he's out there every day, every single day. You made a joke last week before I came out to training camp that Marv was going to take an off day, and my heart dropped for a second. I'm like, what is this, D-Hop? What's going on here? Is this Hollywood Brown? But no.
You would have thought I just told you like a relative had passed. You were just...
You sold it really well.
I did.
You did. You should have won an Oscar.
I'm an SOB. I apologize. I apologize.
Are.
Speaking of which, I'm putting our guy Jacob to work here, but I saw this. Kevin Conqueso in the chat saying PHNX D-backs greater than PHNX cards.
Yeah, all shows are equal here in my heart.
Yeah. But, I just wanted to draw attention to this. Like, things are like the vibes between the two shows are very good. But if Kevin Conqueso wants to create a riff, I'll go to war. If you want to make things divisive between us and PHNX D-backs, by the way, the snakes are hot. I'll do it.
White hot.
It's a drop of a hat.
The crazy thing though is that the producer's the same.
It is.
So how's this war gonna look?
Well, I like that because Johnny and I secretly want to figure out who Damon, who he this ride or die is.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm picking a physical war between the two beats, I'm probably going to choose you guys to win that.
Yeah. Jesse Derek would put up a really good fight. But he would have to do a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah. Listen, we're
sorry to derail the combo there.
We're one big happy family here. Just like, it's healthy competition. Absolutely. Great program.
I'll get unhealthy with it if we want to get crazy.
That's true.
You want to get nuts?
We've been pretty unhealthy this offseason with our activities. That's for sure. Drop a like on this video. Another super chat. No, not same one from earlier. Jesse Cook, though. PHNX Cardinals is king, according to Ozzy. We appreciate that. I like this comment here from earlier from our guy, Brandon Webb, who says, I got the Cards going 12-5 and surprising everyone. Take that to the bank. Well, I was texting Bo earlier today. So Colin Cowherd and Jason McIntyre, who is a perpetual Cardinals hater, they did about 20 NFL over-unders and basically picked their favorites, the ones that they, didn't think were good value, whatever. No mention of the Cardinals. And that, I love that because, again, that's the general consensus this offseason. No one knows how to rate this team. Not Vegas, not the media, not, I think, opposing teams. And I think that's what Cardinals want. They want to be the most under-the-radar team coming into a season where they have explosive playmakers, their franchise quarterbacks in the fold, year 2 defensively under Jonathan Gannon, a ton of youth and athleticism added to this roster. Like, again, like I feel like this team is not going to be talked about, rightfully so, until they start winning games. But if you try to ask somebody, are they a 10-win team or are they a 5-win team? Nobody would be able to tell you.
Yeah. Valley Boy 14, PHNX D-backs, your second premier source. Correct. I think that the NFL groupthink is too scared to take a leap with the Cardinals because this is how it goes, Johnny. You have all the rankings, right? And you don't see anybody willing to put any of the rising stars for the Cardinals in those. Another disgusting Madden rating grouping of tight ends that kept Trey McBride at the top 10 with some egregious people in front of Trey McBride. But then you also have you have the people. This is how they make the determination of who's going to be good in 2024. They look at 2023. They look at the standings. They look at where the offense ranked. They look at where the defense ranked, and they take into consideration 0 variables, 0 trends, and they just go off of what the box score, the standings, and the rankings tell them, instead of looking at what actually translates from one year to the other as far as how hard teams played, how well they're coached, and as far as did they improve their roster. And that's why nobody's willing to go out on the limb for the Arizona Cardinals, even though, I mean, who was I talking to today that thought they were a wild card? I don't know, but it was somebody for a pretty big publication that believes the Cardinals are at the very least.
Tom Pelissaro was at the facility today talking to JG from NFL Network. But I mean, like, again, their schedule is difficult early. We've admitted that. But you find me a team in the NFC that's got the players this offense has that's not assumed to be a playoff contender. Like, give me the Cardinals offense over at the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons have a 9.5 over under because of the division they play on.
Yeah.
But you're starting to see, after this report about Geno Smith, an erosion in the NFC West. And the Cardinals, we can both agree, are not going to make the playoffs unless at minimum they jump Seattle. And by jump, I mean bury them into the ground twice this year, both games taking place in the second half. But could be a long year for the Seahawks. We hope so. Hopefully it's a great year for the Arizona Cardinals. If you're checking out Cardinal tickets, no better place to do that than our friends at Game Time. Again, hottest ticket in town right now is that Chicago Bears Arizona Cardinal game. I got notified by some buddies back in Illinois over the weekend. They're like, we're getting tickets for that game. So I'm going to know like 10 to 15 people coming into town just for that game. I'm directing to everybody. I said, you know what? It's a hot ticket. Go on Game Time. Use the bonus code PHNX. You're going to get $20 off. And I think you can get in the door for right around like $60 or $70 per ticket, which is not cheap. But for that game, I mean, look at some of the seats that are available. And then on top of that, like the Bears game aside, the home opener, I think, is going to be white hot against the LA Rams. That's a hot ticket. And then you mentioned it, the D-backs right now, there's no better place to be right now than Chase Field on a random weeknight, watching a team that's the NL champions, vying for another postseason berth. But again, look for your tickets, last-minute tickets, flash zones, zone deals, flash deals. They've got just the best aesthetic view of when and how you're going to buy your ticket and where that ticket's going to be located. I can't tell you how many times I've gone on competitor sites. I've bought tickets. I think I'm getting one thing, and I go to the site, and I'm, stuck to a big, barrel or a beam or whatever. I once bought floor seats to an event, and it looked like I was right up against the concert venue, and I was like 20 rows back, and it didn't specify. You're not going to have that issue with Game Time.
Plus fee.
Yeah, absolutely. They are transparent. Download the Game Time app today. Use the bonus code PHNX, $20 off your first purchase, which can be a football game, which can be an event, a concert, a comedy show. Hell, it can be a parking ticket. Terms and conditions apply. Again, create that account. PHNX is the bonus code for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Yeah, we do. We're excited about our young Damon dog celebrating a birthday, right? Absolutely. Yep. But at the same time, his absence makes me maybe want to put producer job maybe in Indeed. I don't know.
We just hired a new producer, by the way.
Kyle? I mean,
Kyle,
congratulations to Kyle. Jacob, Kyle could just roll right in here. And
Kyle could do this in his sleep.
Yeah.
He's built for this.
But you're saying we need to go to Indeed to get another producer?
Potentially.
Okay.
Potentially. Just maybe rattling the cages a little bit, just keeping everybody on their toes. But look, Indeed is absolutely the spot to, of course, find maybe the next hire for your company. Absolutely. Or if the next job you're looking for is Indeed. One of the things we love about Indeed is it makes hiring all in one place easy. This is why, because they've got, so many different things going on, leveraging 140 million qualifications and preferences every day. Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. AI. Have you heard of that? Cutting edge stuff. They're utilizing AI right now and getting it so in constantly learning your preferences. So the more you use Indeed, the better it gets as far as your search for a job or your search for your next employee. Join the 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent and do it fast. So you're not just sitting there and saying, well, we just can't accommodate you because we don't have the man and woman power. No, they get somebody hired and they get somebody qualified, more than qualified, and ready to do the job. Listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get jobs more visible at Indeed.com/AllCity. That's our parent company, AllCity. You know, this is PHNX, but use it Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. PHNX Cardinals, Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Absolutely. We need you to like this video. How about another super chat? This is from Kyler Plummer, bro. $5. I just tuned in time to hear Johnny hate on Tip and say he can play with the threes. Hell yeah. Earn your keep, Tip Ryman. He's going to be a starter eventually. But yeah, go out there.
Times with the ones already. You see that 13 personnel? We see some Tip watch 12. He can find the way on the field at 12 personnel.
I want to see him out there with let him go out there with Desmond Ridder and be showcased and blow people up in the run game and go out there, catch a couple seam routes. He's not going to, if they start 12 personnel tomorrow, I still think they'll give Higgy Bear the benefit of the doubt, right? You think Tip Ryman's leapfrog Higgy Bear?
No, I haven't made that determination yet.
Okay. Yeah, people are saying
competition though.
Yeah, it is. But to say I don't believe, unlike Marv, and listen, it's not a hot take to say that Marv is a different caliber of player and prospect coming out than Tip Ryman. But Tip Ryman should be playing with the twos a good amount on a week from Saturday, correct? We should see Tip Ryman throughout the first half against New Orlean Saints.
Yeah.
Again,
you're going to see him with the ones.
Okay, he can go out there with the ones, and then I want him to stay in there with. If you're trying to help the team and trying to help Desmond Ridder and get some experience, again, I don't think it's above Tip Ryman to play the first half of the Saints game. It's my opinion.
Tip Ryman's going to play a lot.
Yeah.
So is Blake Whiteheart and the other tight ends on the team. Bernard Seikovits. Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of good stuff came out of practice today, Bo. We got a bunch of stuff from JG. We got Marv. I do want to get this quote from JG because Gannon was talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. And the fact that he wants to be great. He's been great. And just when you listen to Gannon and then later when you hear from Marv on this show, there's just this kind of quiet confidence hey, we know what we have. He's everything we expected. He's one of the guys now. Just the Cardinals, they're not going to have any headaches with number 18. Let's hear from Gannon on what makes Marv great.
He's been awesome. Yeah, he's worked on his game. There's some things that Drew Terrell, the receiver coach, Drew Petzing, the coordinator, obviously. We're like, you want to take your game to the next level? Yeah, of course I do. All right, here's what you need to do to take your game to the next level. And he's took that to heart, and he's shown it in OTAs, and he's showing it now. So he's, he's one of the guys. It's going to sound, I don't know how this is going to sound. The look in his eye gives me confidence.
Can I have to say something. Okay. That was beautifully said. That was about Greg Dortch.
Gotcha.
That was about Greg Dortch. Because he said, I don't want this to come off wrong, but that was the thing about Dortch at the end of his press conference. He says the thing, the confidence in his eyes, or the look in his eyes gives me confidence. Greg Dortch has the entire, including the head coach, Jonathan Gannon, confidence that he's going to go out there and play his role, whether it's running a verse, running out of the backfield, running in the slot, going out to the X or the Z position.
Yeah.
Greg returning a kick, returning a punt. Greg Dortch, congratulations to him on carving out this role for himself.
The confidence from Jonathan Gannon is earned. It's not given. And I think Greg Dortch, coming from an undrafted player, multiple regimes now, and then the fact that he is, listen, even if he's not playing 80% of the snaps offensively, he's going to play a lot. He's going to have a critical role on this team. So for Gannon to come out and say that, ultimate competitor, returning kicks, running the football like Rondale Moore did a year ago, that's exciting. Here's Gannon on Marv and his work ethic as he's seen thus far through camp.
He takes the coaching and applies it. He goes, takes the meeting room to individual, the one-on-ones, to then team settings. You know what I mean? So he's working on his game every day, but you see some of the things that why we drafted him where we drafted him flash. So he's doing a good job.
I love to hear it from the head ball coach. No doubt about it.
Just one of the guys.
It's just fitting in, You're just fitting in a near 6'4", 200-pound playmaker that probably runs a sub 440, and his dad puts his pants on the same way we do, but he just goes out and gets inducted in the Hall of Fame.
It is pretty nuts.
Receivers of a generation.
We're going to hear from Marv here in a second. And this is the first time that Marv has taken the podium, I think, since when he was drafted. And there was kind of a dual presser with he and Darius Robinson. So
he did talk, I think, rookie minicamp. I think we heard from rookie. Yeah.
We really haven't seen him be like one of the guys. And it's like you listen to him and there's no agenda. There is no like charade. There's no putting on a facade or a show. And like that has to be almost impossible to do as the son or daughter of a professional athlete, the caliber of his dad. And you can say, well, that's how his dad was. I mean, like how many professional athletes have we seen have kids that are not like that? Maybe the complete opposite of that. So I want to get to MHJ and what he had to say today. Let's first get to him on his relationship with Kyler Murray, because I do think this is an interesting bite from Marvin Harrison Jr.
Sure.
Definitely in pads helps a lot. Having a defense out there helps a lot as well. It allows us to try to work things out, just be on the same page. Just try to do my best, making myself open to him, letting him know whatever he needs from me. I always try to do my best to do that for him, and just talking through different things, different routes. Like I said, just make sure I get open for him.
I just want to make sure I get open for him, and it's all about everybody else. Like you go back to that video from the Giants trying to dupe him into ripping on Kyle McCord. Even in one of these other bites, he's like, I played with a lot of great quarterbacks.
Yeah.
When he's only played with one other great one, and CJ Stroud, other than K1. It's just like every time you listen to him talk, and what he emphasizes is just all about everybody else, what they do. And again, like that was not the narrative this offseason. It's like, why isn't Marv participating? What's going on? And I do think he's like the true outlier, that it really was about football.
Yeah.
Like we're going to see guys skip the 40, skip the combine, do their own thing, wear, sunglasses, be non-engaged. But really, Marv, he worked so hard during his collegiate career and off the field to get to this point. So he could just be one of the guys as an Arizona Cardinal. That's got to get you excited, because this is all this franchise needs, is players like this that I don't want to say fall in line, but really are just here to do a job, and that's to win.
He was asked today, the biggest differences in the wear and tear from the collegiate game and the NFL game. He's like, to be honest with you, I think that this is a little bit more conducive to staying healthy. Like it's not as rigorous as, because collegiately, like you get together and you ramp up and you don't get any preseason game. Like maybe you get, a bunny FCS team to start, like an Akron or so. Sorry, Zips, you didn't deserve that. But like he, I think that's in line with what his approach was this offseason. Like he said, he and his dad, they kind of got in the lab and decided, projected who's going to go where, what their, I guess floor or ceiling was, where he's going to get drafted, and decided, hey, it just doesn't make sense. And like we see it each and every year, the rookie wall is a real thing. So let's put yourself in a position to get through the marathon of a season. And, the Cardinals, from, because of Jonathan Gannon, and he emphasizes players staying healthy, like they're not going to just wear you out. And Gannon even said, like, he had to reel him in, because he'll go off campus in his own time and catch 100 balls. But we want to make sure that he's going to be as fresh as he possibly can for practice for the game. So, that's a big part of that. Like when you hear organizations, when you hear teams, when you hear coaches talk about paying attention to the details, this is the details. This is a detail-oriented team. There's coaches and players that say that, and it's just lip service. This is not. And I think that that's huge with this team and why that they should be poised to break out this upcoming season.
We had a coach that said that every day when they were here. And it
was
never...
in response. It was a reaction, right? It was like, we got our ass beat. We got to pay closer attention to the details. Well,
like,
if you paid attention to them, yeah.
There was not a team in the NFL that paid less attention to the details during the Cliff Kingsbury era, especially toward 2022. Here's Marv talking about his trip to LA. And again, I think this speaks to Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe the most relatable player on the Cardinals. Let's hear it, Jacob.
Yeah, they're a little bit more skilled in other areas outside of football than me. I can't play ping pong, so they're going back and forth for ping pong, just different other activities that they had us, or that they decided to do in that time in LA. I'm more relaxer. Once football is done with, I'm gonna go out there and chill, relax. I was in the pool watching Netflix. That's what I was doing. But I was playing ping pong. But no, it was good. That's just how those guys are.
Netflix in the pool. That's relatable to you?
Well, I just feel like he's like, these guys, first of all, continues to compliment his teammates. These guys are a lot better than me. They're more, competitive in ping pong. I'm just here to kind of hang out and relax. And it's just like, yeah, hell yeah. I want to sit in my pool and watch TV. I think that's awesome. And again,
imagine him just out there watching Bridgerton while he's out there just soaking it up.
Did you guys see the Stranger Things season? It's really good. I haven't been able to catch up. I've been so busy training.
There's Michael Wilson and Kyler Murray drenched in sweat because they've been playing ping pong for 6 hours. He said that. He said K1 was out there on the table playing for 6 hours. And then, Wilson told us the other day in the locker room that he was the ping pong champ of that crew.
And then there's Marv in the pool. Taking in the sights.
Are you still up? Yes. Are you still watching? He just clicks it. He's back. He's back into Squid Game.
I mean, it makes you appreciate just kind of the subtleness to him, because they're like, we compared Odell Beckham to Malik Neighbors during the draft process, and there's stuff that's come out on Malik, and hopefully he's a good guy and a good player, but there's always kind of that thing in the back of your mind, like, oh, is something going to happen with this player? Like, you've seen it now with some other players in the NFL landscape. Like right now, it's like, Byron Murphy, he's had some stuff come out. Like, you just feel like you're never going to have anything come out with Marv. And I hope that that's the case. We don't know him well enough yet, but he's checking these boxes of just kind of being a low key dude, quiet guy. And again, who does that remind you of? Larry Fitzgerald. Now, I don't think they're comparable in terms of their play style, but just like talking about their teammates constantly, talking about how low key they are, talking about how selfless they are.
Yeah.
I mean, like Marv comes off across to me, like I hear him talk. I think he's wise beyond his years. I think he's been exposed so much to high end college football, pro football when he was younger. I feel like he's been uniquely molded for this scenario. And he's going to be able to come in, not have to carry the offense, which I think is a big deal, will be a dominant complementary piece, but the Cardinals have other options. Go ask Neighbors what it's going to be like when they roll a safety over on top of a cornerback, because the Giants need him to be their savior. It's going to be tough. And you've got Daniel Jones airmailing hospital balls to him. That's the opposite approach. We always talk about quarterbacks and setting themselves up for success as rookies. Oh, yeah, J.J. McCarthy is set up for success because he's got Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson. We never talk about, hey, this receiver is set up for success because of the infrastructure of the team, the quarterback, and the surrounding talent. Yeah. I don't think that gets talked about enough. Marv is in the best position to succeed out of any rookie, in my opinion, especially any rookie receiver, because of what else the Cardinals have. And you never feel like, even in practice when they target him 7 or 8 times, that they have to go to him, that they need him so they can succeed right away. But it's a good place to be if you're Marvin. And I would venture to say his dad knew during the draft process that the Giants were a disaster, the Patriots were a disaster, maybe the Commanders a little bit. He gets to go to the one place, in my opinion, maybe outside of Chicago, that he could have immediate success. And that's not nothing to these guys.
Yeah. Mr. Fat Gangster. Yeah. Ultimate teammate. Yeah. I think that there's something to that. I also think that with Fitz, with Marv, them gassing up their teammates isn't disingenuous, but I also see, and it's authentic.
Yeah.
But I also say, like, I think he's like look at what they're doing. Look at all the great things they're doing so he can focus on what his main goal is.
Right.
Right. I think that it's we, not me. It's the team over anything.
Yep.
And he doesn't want to create any obstacles that are going to stand in the way of him being a successful football player.
No doubt.
You watch Marv play, you listen to Marvin Harrison Jr. talk, and then you watch Malik Neighbors play, and he's making big time play after big time play. But he's also got defensive backs drenched all over his back, where Marv has got, yards of separation between him and the next closest defender.
Mm-hmm.
And you listen to Malik in the post practice, and it's completely different.
Yeah.
There's one that's, I think, just hyper focused, and there's one that's, focused on himself quite a bit, which doesn't mean he's not going to be a good player. It's just if you're trying to build a unified team front, like, you take that guy, Marvin Harrison Jr., 100 times out of 100.
And again, I don't take this as a weakness. I think he's a very savvy businessman, learning from his dad, obviously, with what's going on with his jersey. I think Michael Bidwell is going to have to cut him a fat check one day, maybe multiple, just like Larry Fitzgerald, like, always made it known, like, I'll come and be the ambassador of this team, the leader of this team. I'm going to have to be compensated for it. And he was. Yeah. And so the Cardinals would love to be able to do that with MHJ, because it would mean it worked out. But I think you're just going to get somebody every year that just clocks in and clocks out, and you're going to get 12, 13, 1,400 yards. And then and again, like, we've compared his game thus far in camp to AJ Green. Like, you never heard from AJ Green in Cincinnati ever. Yeah. Like, I remember, Julio Jones had a bravado about him, and that team was a little bit more flashy with Matt Ryan. And then you had just kind of lowly Cincinnati that were on the early slate of games, and AJ Green would make a bunch of plays, and that team was always in the playoffs. And I think Kyler Murray is a hell of a lot better than Andy Dalton was. But to me, I think there's so many comparisons, and you can cherry pick them where you want. Let's hear from Marvin Harrison Jr. He did talk about his relationship with Kyler Murray and basically, where he sees that going and where that's already come from, Bo.
I mean, I've always played with great quarterbacks all throughout high school, college. Kyler is obviously supremely talented, and I think his ability to run the football and throw the football from different arm angles is definitely, I haven't really seen that before, just his different platforms that he could throw the ball from. I think that's credit to his baseball background, and you can definitely see that in his arm talent.
I mean, you made a point. Every time he's missed a pass in camp,
he did it again today. Yeah, he did it. He did it on Tuesday. He didn't haul in a catch from Kyler Murray. Got right back in the drill line.
Okay,
and then today it wasn't a drop, but him and Kyler couldn't connect, and Marvin got right back in line, and then made sure he ended that drill on a catch, and it's just great to see. Now, we've been talking about, Fitz and their connection. Marv did confirm something today. So we saw this report come from, I think Doug Haller had it for The Athletic, about Devin Fitzgerald, the son of Larry Fitzgerald, who plays, locally at, I think, Brophy High School, randomly saw Marvin Harrison Jr. Coming out of a Texas Roadhouse. And they sat down and they had a long conversation about, the things that they experience being the sons of these legendary players.
Yeah.
And Marv, he basically confirmed that, talking to Devin Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I kind of met him outside, I think, Texas Roadhouse, my first and second week, being out here for during rookie mini camp. We just kind of chopped it up, just kind of the same stories that we kind of share on being the sons of great NFL receivers and trying to pave our own path. That was probably what the base of our conversation was. And I gave him my number. He always texts me, and I can always text him. I'm going to try to go out to one of his games this year when I can, one of these Friday nights. I think it's a high school place, right? Friday nights. So I'm trying to make it out to one of his games and support him the best that I can.
Texas Roadhouse. Is that the place?
That's a man of good taste.
Is it?
That's a man of good taste.
I haven't been to a Texas Roadhouse in at least a decade.
Would you like to go with me? I would love to go.
You're missing out.
You got the rattlesnake bites.
No. There's one thing you have to order.
What is it?
We've talked about it. You don't know what it is? The Bloomin' Onion is a mandatory order at Texas.
Well, it's called something different there. It's the Cactus Blossom.
Or it used to be called the Awesome Blossom at Chili's, right?
Yeah.
Made famous by Michael Scott on The Office. But Shane Diefenbach actually, once upon a time, owed me multiple
trips,
Bloomin' Onions at Texas Roadhouse. And then I think I lost a bet to him. I'm supposed to dye my hair blonde because he had Cooper Kupp winning Super Bowl MVP. And so we canceled out the Awesome Blossoms for that bet. But I would love to go. I'd love to go with Marv.
The rolls are undefeated.
They're pretty elite, right? I never do remember that.
People are saying I would only eat half my steak. I might, because again, think about what we're talking about. I would get an Awesome Blossom and eat a lot of that. I'd eat the rolls, Monty Awesome Ford's burner, and then my steak would kind of be a dessert, like an afterthought.
Yeah.
So I have no shame in that. And I probably would take it home. I'm not gonna take it home in Indianapolis when we're trudging around until 3 in the morning, like a couple of dirty dogs. But if I'm coming back to the East Valley, I'll bring my steak home.
I mean, the chat remains undefeated with comments like that. I love that. Jack Smith, Step Pen.
How are the steaks at Texas Roadhouse?
I haven't been at Texas Road. If I'm going to go get a steak, I don't know if I'm that's my first point. Pick.
Why do you think Marv? See, another clue for Marv. He likes chain restaurants. I love a good chain. I love Chili's, as you know, Honey Chipotle Chicken Crispers. Like Marv, to me, I feel like just, hey Marv, you want to go to Chili's? Hey Marv, you want to go to Texas Roadhouse? I feel like be like, yeah, let's go. Just one of the guys.
He's just trying to fit your own narrative that you guys are one of the
No.
It's sick. It's disgusting.
One of the guys.
It's his
players on the team have talked about, Booters has private chefs and all that stuff, and he's deserved it. Marv's like, yeah, my dad's worth however many million. I've got NIL money. I'm going to Texas Roadhouse.
Here's what would make it blows my mind, because if you were to tell me, hey, I was walking in the Steak 44 and I saw Marvin Harrison Jr., I'd be like, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. But Texas Roadhouse, I saw Marvin Harrison Jr., and he also has the son of a player that made over $180 million in his career, also walking out of Texas Roadhouse.
That's how you know it's good.
Not a mistake. Hey, cut from the same cloth, I think is the point of that article. We got more from practice today, including some banger highlights. But first, I want to tell you guys, listen, you're trying to be financially wise these days. You want to level up your financial acumen so you can afford to go to Texas Roadhouse. Why not hang out with our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, the official credit union of PHNX Sports, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Venerable household? That's because for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicating to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. And again, it is not a transaction. It is not a quickie, I'm going to grab my money and go. How about it's a place where you can get advice from people who are helping you tailor your financial goals and dreams for what you want to achieve. Checking accounts, savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. Again, it's no joke. And on top of that, there's a cherry on top. It's the Red Sea Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card for free right now. Open up your free checking account online with our friends at Desert Financial, desertfinancial.com/CardinalsBow to get started.
It's elite, as is football being back. Officially, the Hall of Fame game kicked off. Texans continue to be a nightmare. 7-0 over the Bears. No Caleb.
We don't have to live that nightmare, though.
Yeah, we don't have to. No longer. It is. We've awakened from it, and now the man of our dreams, Marvin Harrison Jr., is continuing to save us from that.
Yes.
But yeah, Desert Financial, legit, and so are Shady Rays. Of course, the sun is still out there high in the Arizona sky. And you got to protect those eyes of yours. And why not do it with premium polarized shades from Shady Rays and continue to get and tap into the best deal of the season. 35% off polarized sunglasses from Shady Rays. Like, Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that is trying to offer you, and succeeding at it, world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. It's proven that these premium polarized sunglasses are legit, and you're not going to break the bank for it. Well under $100, especially with that 35% off PHNX code. You can save some money. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays giving out that best deal. Head to shadyrays.com. Use the code PHNX for 35% off those sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by 300K. shadyrays.com.
Cards highlights from and admitted Gannon light training camp day. Bo, walk us through what was taking place in Glendale with the 53-man roster and then some ahead of the red and white scrimmage.
Yeah, it was all Marv all the time. K1, MHJ. There's a leaping catch. Here's them reconnecting. This was after that little misconnection there. Here's Kyler in a little sevens drill, dropping back. Marv, and some of these, I think these next couple are consecutive plays. There's Higgy Bear. You're gonna find Marv in the middle of the field.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a nice little strike throw there. Little Trey McBride in motion. You got Dortch and Wilson on one side. Kyler, nope. I got Marv over here. Yep, he's good. In the middle of the field. Tough to see Zaven Collins in coverage on that. That's tough. More Marv in the middle of the field. Here's Kyler on the center. You got Dortch on the little reverse there.
I like that.
That was not out of the backfield. He was split out and he came on the reverse. This is Kyler. I'm going to guess a little Marv here. Let's see. Throws it down the field. Yep, number 18.
Not seeing any balls on the ground.
This is a little Greg Dortch, Kyler Murray throwing on the side. So look at this little tight spiral. Zipping it in there. Dortch catching it like it ain't no thing. So winding up like he's on the bump. And then I think we get a little, is this going to help tip watch? Is this a tip play? There it is. Yep. Tip Ryman down the field.
Wow.
I would probably call that a tip TD. And then a little Kyler
Looked
Murray.
like a push off to me.
Around the corner. And it was okay. So getting into, the kind of the nuts and bolts of the practice, it was a light tempo today. You might have noticed that they were playing about 50%, 60% out there. It was light tempo tomorrow and Saturday. As Gannon, this is a Gannon quote. They're going to be banging the next couple days. The shells, the pads, they go on Friday, Saturday. For you good people out there, they're going to attend the red and white. It's going to the intensity. It's going to be high. The tempo is going to be high the next couple days. And I think they were just coming off of giving your kind of true practice news and notes. Jonathan Gannon was asked about, the status of Yelda Froholdt, who was rolled up on last practice. There was Buda Baker, who was just not in practice gear today, who was not participating. Neither was Keitrell Clark. Saw Keitrell Clark go talk a little bit to Monty Ossenfort and then joined his position group, but not in practice gear today. And I believe Naquan Jones, the big defensive lineman, was not practicing. He was working out on the side. So that's, as far as Froholdt, Johnny, good news as far as the Cardinals center and all these players that weren't participating and were, quote, nicked up, according to Jonathan Gannon, nothing serious. And Gannon thinks it's, Froholdt will be good to go here sooner rather than later.
Brett Jones saying he's going to be at the red and white scrimmage, potentially. Hell yeah, Brett Jones. We will be there in attendance as well. Looking forward to seeing everybody rock, hopefully, some PHNX Cardinals merch. You can get this t-shirt right now, by the way, this MHJ t-shirt coming to Die Hard at gophnx.com. Shop it at the merchandise locker. Yeah, you mentioned Yelda Froholdt. We had kind of shared with the audience on Tuesday. Craig Morgan of PHNX Cardinals Beat said that it sounded like he was going to be okay. So again, avoided disaster there with your starting center getting rolled up. And then Buda Baker, I mean, maybe some maintenance. I mean, he is 30 years old. And
no, he's not. 28.
29. 28?
He'll be 29 next offseason.
Okay. So he's almost 29. Which is basically 30. Yeah, normal maintenance, wear and tear. But again, the Cardinals, knock on wood, have avoided serious injury, and that is not the case with every NFL franchise. So I opened up the show and we were riffing on, me in the chat, on Geno Smith, who was having imaging done, Brack, on his lower body. Mike McDonald, the head coach, they basically don't know anything right now, and they're going to figure out what next steps are. So that's not good. And then word came out early this morning, the Chargers announced Justin Herbert, and let's hope I'm pronouncing this right, has plantar fasciitis in his foot, which means that he could potentially miss the remainder of training camp. The goal is for him to be ready for the opener. Even if he's ready for the opener, this is something that can linger for the rest of the season, especially with how much the Chargers probably planned on running him. It's a running team, right? The receivers haven't looked good. So again, two quarterbacks the Cardinals are going to face this year, a combined 3 times, are unavailable right now for their respective teams. It's good news for the Cardinals.
Yeah. Look, there's 3 games on their schedule with both those quarterbacks, right?
That's right.
I mean,
Chargers early in the season too.
The Chargers is that Monday night game. They play on Monday night, but it's going to be on, I think, maybe like the Roku app. I have no idea. It's on ESPN Plus. It's not even the main Monday night game. But look, they're Monday night. It's prestigious. But like, I'm not saying Herbert's going to be. I don't know if he'll miss any time. Plantar fascia sucks. I think Peyton Manning's played with plantar fascia. Just your foot is very uncomfortable. But if that Chargers team, which is one of the worst rosters in the league,
no doubt,
is without Herbert at any time, they're not going to win a football game. They're not going to win that game. Like, if they don't have Herbert, he's going to be able to elevate, and I think him working alongside Jim Harbaugh is going to help. But Easton Stick ain't winning you a football game. Max Duggan's not going to win you a football game in the NFL.
Yeah, they spent the offseason removing players. And again, like, they've got Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa still off the edge, but I've been watching highlights of their camp. Derwin James trying to cover Ladd McConkey has not gone well for Derwin James. And then their offensive line's kind of been reshuffled. They're counting on Joe Alt, which we like Joe Alt, but again, Quentin Johnston can't stop dropping passes. I mean, he looks awful at training camp. So Chargers very much in flux. And then there was also a report today, to the shock of nobody, DeAndre Hopkins is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. So DeAndre Hopkins is going to miss the entire preseason training camp. So old players stay old. DeAndre Hopkins, unfortunately, has not been able to stay healthy for the last couple of years. So again, Cardinals are in a good spot health-wise. We hope that remains. And we're laughing at the expense of some other teams. This Geno Smith one, though, like Herbert, it is what it is. He's a quarterback of their future. They're not expected to win this year. The Geno Smith one is really interesting. I do want to read this report one more time for those who missed it off the top of the show. This is from Brady Henderson of ESPN. He's undergoing testing after missing the last 2 practices. It's his understanding, according to Brady, that he's dealing with a hip and knee issue. So multiple issues for his lower body. New head coach Mike McDonald said he's working through a couple things from the other day, but we'll get some imaging done tonight and we'll see. He got banged up a little bit on Tuesday. I don't know about tomorrow. We'll see what comes out of it and when he sees the doctor. So again, Geno Smith is 35 years old. Geno Smith, for a lot of people, had a renaissance career recovery, not to a lot of people, to everybody, because of Pete Carroll and Pete Carroll's belief in Geno Smith that never wavered. That Seahawk team with a defensive head coach, even with some good receivers, led by not Geno Smith. Do you know who the backup is in Seattle? Who's the backup in Seattle?
Sam Howell.
Sam Howell. What team last year had a defensive head coach, had some good receivers, and was led by Sam Howell? Oh, the Washington Commanders that sucked, that picked 2nd overall, that played in the NFC East. Now you're playing the NFC West. Sam Howell should have lost to Joshua Dobbs on like a 7-day contract coming into Arizona to open day 1 last year. If Geno Smith is hurt, and I think the Cardinals are going to beat the Seahawks even with Geno Smith, if he's in the lineup. If Sam Howell's their starter this year, begin to tear it down if you're Seattle. I'd start selling off pieces. I'd start looking ahead to the draft next year, trade DK Metcalf, get rid of Tyler Lockett. That you can show me all the Jackson and Jigma highlights you want. That team's going nowhere fast.
Yeah, I mean, he goes from one, organization that has a pretty good receiving core in Washington to Seattle. I saw a picture of Sam Howell the other day. It looks like he washes dishes at Texas Roadhouse. He doesn't look like an NFL quarterback.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, there's not. It's a very admirable gig, but at the same time, it's not going to win you football games. This is a guy that led the NFL with 21 picks. He's a turnover machine.
He was awful against the Cardinals, too.
He was really bad.
The Cardinals could barely field the team. They had a quarterback who had been in town for an hour, and they should have beaten Sam Howell.
He's never won a meaningful game in his career. Never. I call him the meaningless game king. Like before the Cardinals played, like that's why we thought the Cardinals were going to have a shot. That was one of those games. Like you look at the overall, performance by the defense as a season last year, but the defense dominated that game. They had 6 sacks and they had, was it 3 or 4 turnovers? They won the turnover battle.
They scored a touchdown. They scored a defensive touchdown.
It was Cameron Thomas. Cameron Thomas didn't play that much last year. Found the way he scooped and scored. And then, Joshua Dobbs' 2 second half fumbles cost him the game.
Yeah.
So Sam Howell tried his darndest. I apologize for my language. He tried his darndest to lose that football game. He's not a winning football player. So that's music to my ears. I mean, it's unfortunate for somebody that came back and was able to kind of have a career renaissance in Geno Smith, but it's short-lived. They already have the task of a new offensive play caller there. Shane Waldron's in Chicago, and the guy that was able to kind of resurrect Geno Smith, and they've got a new head coach. Things are very different in Seattle, and if you think they're just gonna, with the players they've accumulated over this rebuild, be able to kind of like take off in 2024, I think that's a bit naive.
Continuity matters. That's why the Cardinals look night and day better than they did last year and even the year before in training camp. Continuity with Pete Carroll was a big deal because you always could look, you have a Hall of Fame level head coach with his energy and his enthusiasm, and you knew if you were in that locker room and times were tough, hey, this guy's won Super Bowls, he's won national championships, we're in the playoff mix every year. He had 2 losing seasons in his tenure, and it was to begin his Seahawk tenure, 7-9, and then they made the playoffs or had a winning record every year since then. I mean, it's an unbelievable record. And just because the Seahawks opted to part ways with him, it's one of the most ridiculous claims this offseason that the Seahawks are just going to pick up where Pete Carroll left off. Like, I'm sorry. Like, Mike McDonald's, he's a nice guy. He looks like he's going to do an admirable job. But again, like that makeup of that team defense, how many times have we seen defensive coordinators leave Baltimore to try to be head coaches elsewhere, especially for John Harbaugh, and just fall flat on their face? They're just not very good, right? So I wish Mike McDonald well, but that you're starting Sam Howell or Geno Smith with a banged up 33-year-old body in the NFC West. Like, anybody who's putting the Seahawks over the Cardinals, that's just blatant disrespect. Josh, $2 super chat. Bo, any word on Xavier Thomas coming out of camp, the 6th rounder out of Clemson, the ACC?
Yeah. Nothing too crazy. I mean, he gets in there on the pass rush. Like today, it's a tough to kind of learn a lot about the front 7 players, defensive front 7 players, just because it's such a low tempo game and it's kind of a glorified walkthrough. But as far as since things have been physical, I mean, he's a big, strong, old for a rookie player, but still young for the league. I think he's going to get, lots of run in the preseason. That's the depth in that pass rush group beyond BJ Ojolari, Zaven Collins, and Dennis Gardeck is they gotta develop that. They got to figure out what it looks like. And I think Xavier Thomas is in the mix.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's an older player. He was, like a lot of these guys, impacted by the COVID years. He's been at Clemson for a long time. So, who knows? He can help them on special teams and maybe a rotational pass rush, I think is best case scenario. But he enters a position group that, frankly, I don't think is very competitive. It does not have proven depth. So I do think that's going to help him. We're going to help you right now. Pick up a free t-shirt by becoming a diehard at GoPHNX.com, Bo. Shop the number 18 collection. We've been talking about number 18 for most of today's show. You can't buy his jersey yet, but you can shop the number 18 collection right now. GoPHNX.com. Pick up a free hat and or shirt every single year you're a diehard. Then you get 20% off the merchandise locker indefinitely. So you can shop the number 18 collection like the Math tee, the Maserati Marv tee, and of course, what I believe the best shirt we've ever done, the MHJ tee, which I will rep each and every football Sunday this year and beyond. So fired up to see PHNX Cardinals merch at the Crowd at State Farm Stadium over the course of training camp. Want to see it in waves and droves this coming Saturday at the Red and White scrimmage. So again, if you're thinking about becoming a diehard, why wait? Get full access to GoPHNX.com. Read the many workings of our talented writers, including PHNX Cardinals beat reporter, of course, Craig Morgan, who's out of practice today. Of course, has a banger of an article right now on the Cardinals receiving core and who might be out, who might be in as it relates to kind of that back end of that group. But all that and more can be found at GoPHNX.com.
And an awesome article on Paris Johnson Jr.
Fantastic.
Really good. Craig has hit the ground running, making his transition from the NHL and the Coyotes to the NFL and the Cardinals. And he's not coming in blind. He obviously had 8 years of experience covering the Cardinals before this, throughout the end of the B8 era, but he developed some relationships, and he talked to was it Louis Sharp, right? One of the great tackles of Cardinals history. And he kind of passes the baton to Paris Johnson Jr. Some really incredible insight in there. And he's got an awesome article coming out that I really encourage people to keep tabs on. PHNX_Cardinals. Craig S. Morgan on Twitter when he drops it about a certain franchise quarterback. So that's in the works and it's coming your way. Easiest way to keep tabs on that, become a diehard, go phnx.com. And also, we got to talk about it every show. Join us end of October in Miami. We're going to be going see the Cardinals road game, taking on the Miami Dolphins. Thanks to our friends at True Fan Travel. They have everything taken care of for you. Basically, just pack a toothbrush and a swimming suit, and then everything else is pretty much taken care of from True Fan Travel and then some, because they're going to basically get you flights out to Miami from wherever you may be. Plus, they're going to get you transportation to and from the airport to the hotel, which is a hotel on the beach in Miami. And also, they're going to get you to our tremendous tailgate. We're going to have a welcome party. You're going to get to talk to some Cardinals alumni. You're going to get a little booze cruise as well.
Ooh.
Oh, is this fun? You get to hang out with Johnny Venerable. Johnny Venerable is going to be at your disposal the entire time.
Well,
he might even serve you drinks.
Well,
Johnny is going to be there for you 24/7 on your trip to Miami. So do not miss out. Find out more. Go phnx.com/events and check out what's going on. We just had an unbelievable takeover of the Diamondbacks pool.
Unreal.
I think this is going to even beat that event yesterday.
Yeah. I think.
Oh, I forgot. We hate the Diamondbacks.
We do.
I mean, that felt like there was beef there.
I was trying to be just shaded a little bit, but since we just have this real like hate for the D-backs crew now.
Yeah, we don't want good things for them. We want good things for us. Listen, they're in the playoffs. They're gonna make the playoffs this year. They won the World Series last year. I'm excited for you. Can we have
feels like a kiss of death.
Can we have some success, please? Can this team make a wild card? Can this team, God forbid, win a division title? I need it. I know, our first year doing this, they made the playoffs. But I mean, since Bo and I have been doing the show together, 8 wins in 2 years. Can we get some mojo? Yeah. Those guys it's like candy over there. It's like, hey guys, want some All-Stars? Here's some candy. Hey, you want a postseason berth? Here's some candy. Oh, an NL championship? Here's some candy. We're over here slumming it, but. Yeah, there's no animosity though. You can't sense that at all.
I mean, we have our Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's all we have. No, it's not. Like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on the YouTube. As Bo mentioned, we're going out to practice tomorrow, cranking up the intensity. The highlights will be flowing. You got to follow us, PHNX_Cardinals. I believe during this live show, we just crossed 30,000 subscribers here on the YouTube and working our way up the YouTube hierarchy. And I think we were told recently that we know this is the #1 shameless plug Arizona Cardinal podcast, but I think this is the #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast as it relates to now YouTube subscribers as well. So we feel very blessed, very fortunate for that. So
it's of course of all of you, everybody out there that watches every day, that subscribe to this channel. We're so thankful, grateful for you. Your loyalty, the interactions, whether it's here in the chat, whether it's on the social media streets, Instagram, Twitter. Big thank you to each and everybody that subscribe to this channel and is making PHNX thrive and stick around. It's all because of all you great people out there. Thank you so much. Give yourself a pat on the back. You all have fire in your gut. You keep it going. And well, I guess that's going to do it. Jacob, pinch hitting for Damon Dog today.
Thank you, Jacob.
For Johnny Venerable, I'm Bo Brack. Check us out tomorrow. We wrap up the week. No, we don't. It's just really the start of the week because we're working on Saturday.
Addicted to the grind, some may say.
That's right. 4:30 Friday. Don't miss it.
We all silly like the mayor.